Hello friends, welcome back to my channel again. Today's video is going to be very exciting one because I have come up with another book haul. So over the past few months, I have been acquiring more and more books, and I have been visiting bookshops, I have been visiting used bookstores, and I couldn't resist buying these books. I tell myself not to buy books, but I end up buying it because why not? I have more than 30 plus books today to show you. So without further ado, let's get into the video. And I have no order of books here, like there is no category or nothing. I'm just going to grab everything and just tell you about it. Let's get into the video. The first book that I want to show here is Spinoff Fate by A.A. Vora. Just take a moment to appreciate this cover. Isn't this the most wonderful book ever? And this is a YA fantasy, and it is supposed to be a trilogy. Only the first book is out, and this author is Japan-based Indian author. And the premise of this book also sounds very good. It is about a girl called Eyre, and in her world there is upper class and lower class, and there is a clash between them. Who is going to be in the upper class and who's going to be in the lower class? It's something around that, and there is war, and there is a group of misfits. Everything sounds right up my alley, and I'm very, very excited to read it. The next book is Thisle Foot by Jenna Rose Nethercott. And this story is about Bellatine and Isaac. They are siblings, and they one day receive an inheritance that is this walking house with legs. And it is going to be a very good story with magical realism. This sounded very much like the Inheritance of Arcadia Divina. That is the only reason I was very interested to buy it. And I hope I'm going to have a good time reading this in this fall season. The next book is kind of introduced to me by a subscriber, and I have read it and I've enjoyed it thoroughly. The book is The Girl, the Cat and the Navigator by Matilda Woods. This is a middle grade magical realism book, and it is really very perfect for winter time because it screams winter, and the atmosphere Matilda Wood has created in this book was very, very atmospheric and top-notch. This story follows Una Britt, and she is supposed to be born as a son, but she ended up as a daughter to their parents, so everybody hates her in the family except one sister, and she is hell-bound to prove herself, and she wanted to go on an adventure with his father's boat. So her adventure is basically what the story is about. This is a wonderful story, and I highly recommend you to check it out. The next book is also a middle grade book, and this is a retelling of fairy tales Snow White and Little Red Riding Hood, and the book is Snow and Rose by Emily Winfield Martin. This is a wonderful edition. It has beautiful illustrations in them, and it is going to be a very good time, and I want to read this during winter. This was gifted by my husband since I achieved 1K followers in YouTube. So this is really, really very precious to me, and I'm going to hold it on to it forever. Speaking of gifts for achieving 1K followers, my mother also gifted me a book, and that is Daphne du Maurier's Trenchmans Greek. If you have been watching my videos, I am very much interested in collecting this kind of edition from Daphne du Maurier. I love and adore Daphne du Maurier's works. They are really, really feels like meant for me, and they are written for me. So I am very much dedicated to read all her works now, and I have collected another one in this edition, Virago Modern Classic Edition. So this story is about pirates, summer, ship, and all those things. I have, by the way, read it and I've enjoyed it. I would recommend you to check this out during the summertime. Continuing with the same edition, I got one more Daphne du Maurier's book, and it is called The Birds and Other Short Stories. And I have no idea what this one is about, and I think there is a movie by Alfred Hitchcock based on this short story, The Birds. I want to read this and check out that movie because Alfred Hitchcock does really wonderful AD suspenseful movies, and Daphne du Maurier and Alfred Hitchcock are a wonderful combination. So I can't wait to read this book during this fall and watch the movie. And again, the edition, it is so wonderful, and I'm really, really lucky to have been collecting this wonderful editions. And I also have My Cousin Rachel in this edition, and I intend to keep on collecting them. Next up, this is a book that you might have already seen it on my TBR for the rest of the year, and this is a sequel to a series that I'm currently reading, the Dandelion Dynasty series, and the book is The Wall of Storms, and this is the second installment in that series. The first one was The Grace of Kings, which I loved and adored, with a high fantasy, political, warfare series. If you are into such kind of series, I would highly recommend this. This is a wonderful time to read. So I can't wait to read this. This is around 900 pages, which is getting me super intimidated, but I really want to get to it I hope I do soon. I recently visited a used bookstore factory and I scored so much of good books there. And the next pile of books are all from the used bookstore. And the first one is Murder by the Seaside. And this is kind of a collection of short stories, and everything is the classic crime stories for summer. This sounded very much right up my alley, and author Conan Doyle has written a story in this. I can't wait to get into it. And just look at the cover. I just want to recreate this by painting. It was so good. The color combination, the feel, the texture, everything was superb. I am super happy that I found this book. So I usually have a practice of gifting books to my friends during Christmas time and New Year time. And this is a book that I have already read and enjoyed, and I have a copy of my own. And this I bought for a friend, and that is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I hope you already know how much I love Daphne du Maurier, and this is one of the impeccable books that I've ever written on a female character that you can never take your minds off. You can either hate her or you can love her. Rebecca will always be on your mind. I hope that my friend enjoys this. Next, I bought two more classics, and these are also for gifting. And the first one is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, and this edition was catching my eye. I could not pass this on without buying it. It was such a nice edition. It is hardcover and it is so nostalgic and vintage, and this is the kind of books that I would like to collect or give to people, because there's still some story other than the actual story. It has been to many people's hand, and it is wonderful to think that it has been on earth for so long and still in fascinating people and making their life much more beautiful. And also, I got one more classic title in this edition, and I also wanted to give this to someone, and that is The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. This is a such summer-rich story of childhood and everything. It was well written. It was a little bit hard to read, but the story was well written, and the story was something that you should read to get nostalgic, I feel. So these two are the jewels of my collection now, and I can't wait to give this to people. Next is a book that I'm most excited for in this entire haul. I have been eyeing this book for quite some time. I wanted to collect it because this is a collector edition. This is a story that I want to tell to my children and my grandchildren, and I want to pass this book upon generations. And I'm talking about the illustrated edition and the complete chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. My God, this is heavy. But the illustrations in them are colorful and they are wonderful. Just look at this cover. Isn't this such a trophy to have on my bookshelves? I'm very, very excited to have this in my possession. Just to have an idea, I'm showing you a few illustrations here. Just look at how beautiful they are. It's full of illustration. I like the pattern of this print with split pages. I love it so much. The next three books are part of the same series, which I am trying to collect for quite some time now. And I got only 3 of that, and it has 13 books in that series. The series I'm talking about is a series of unfortunate events by Lemony Snicket, and I got part 5, part 6, and part 11. So I got these 3 books, and I do want to collect the entire series. So this is a kind of a request. I want you to let me know if you find any place where I can get used copy of all these hardcover editions of the series where I can collect and complete my collection. So let me know in the comments if you know any place where I can get the rest of the books. The next 2 books are pure nostalgic buys. These are the books that I grew up with. I have read them a lot. I have been reading it throughout the summer vacations of my school time. This has been my companion for more time than I care to admit. And these books are The Famous Five by Ned Blyton. And I got 5 Go Adventuring Again and 5 Are Together Again. These were such wonderful copies of edition, so I wanted to collect them. I could not just pass it. Do you see the pattern here? I like vintage artwork and vintage type of binding. It kind of attracts me so much rather than a newer edition. So these are the books that I'm very, very happy that I'm having it in my possession now. This story basically is about 5 misfit guys. They go solving mysteries around their neighborhood, and it is all such a nice time. Like Nancy Drew and Famous Five, this is such a great book, and I love it so much. Next up, I have a book that I don't know much about, and the book is Rumple and the Primrose Path by John Mortimer. And Like I said, I have no idea what this book is about, but it said that Rumpole, like Jeeves and Sherlock Holmes, is immortal. So I'm guessing that this is a detective story, and Rumpole is some kind of a legendary detective. I think it's going to be a good time. And the edition was also very attractive, so I went for it. Speaking of wonderful editions, I also got The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Graham, and I think it's a story about frogs, if I'm not wrong. And I think I'm wrong because I have no idea what the story is about. But this book was so beautiful. It had so much wonderful, colorful illustrations. And I thought I should have it in my possession. Such a beauty shouldn't be left alone. So I bought this one. Next is a book that I've heard about the author, but not the book, Leanne Moriarty. And the book is Nine Perfect Strangers. And Leanne Moriarty generally writes a lot of thriller books. And this is one of a thriller book, and it is going to be about nine strangers who are all going on for a retreat. And when they go there, they find something mysterious, something sinistral happening there, and they have to escape from there to save their life. So I found this premise very interesting, and I wanted to check them out. So that's about it. Did you know there was a king called Henry VIII, and he keeps on killing his wife? He's kind of very famous for that. I don't know the entire history, but this caught my eye. The Taming of the Queen by Philippia Gregory, and this is about that Henry VIII, and he's marrying another girl after killing four of his wives. And this is the story about that fifth wife, and it's going to be very interesting, I think. And I want to know the history behind it. I wanted to read about it. Why did he kill all the queens? That was the intriguing factor for me to buy this book. I think I'm going to enjoy it. The next book is The Foundling by Stacey Halls. I was immediately sold when I saw at the back of this book that it is set in 1754 London. That was well enough for me to buy this, but the story itself is very interesting because it follows Bess Bright, who is leaving her illegitimate daughter Clara at the London Foundling Hospital, and she just abandons her. And then when she comes back to see how her daughter is doing and want to take her back, she finds that she's been already taken care of and she's been adopted. And this is a dilemma. She's trying to find her daughter. The story is about Bess Bright's journey to find her daughter. So I think it's going to be a very nice one. I have heard a lot of praise for this author. She has written The Familiars, I guess. And that was a big, and I wanted to check her work out. So here I am. The next is a book that I've heard a lot about, but I don't exactly know what the story is. And the book is The Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. And I think I'm pronouncing it wrong, but let's roll with it. This story is about tribal people, and I think it's about oppression, and people are trying to steal their magic. And I think they have killed the lead character's mother. That is all I know about this book, and I am very interested to read it. I usually read fantasy a lot, so this is right up my alley, and I can't wait to get into it. The next story I think is going to be very perfect for winter, and it is a middle grade one, and it is The Boy Who Flew, and it's by Fleur Hitchcock. This story is about some flying mission that has been taken away, and this boy is trying to restore it. That is the vague synopsis that I got from reading the back of this book. And this sounded very, very interesting. I think this was recommended by Alexandra Roslin, who's my very favorite booktuber. So I thought I'll check this out. Next is another middle grade book, and that is Love, Sugar, Magic by Anna Mariano. And this is set in Texas, but the family are from South America, I think. And this girl wants to be a part of their baking family, but the elders don't allow her because she's too young. One day she sneaks up on her family and discovers that they are adding some magical elements into baking. And that was very, very interesting for me. So I think this is going to be very Coco-ish kind of a book. So I am very, very thrilled to read this. Next up, I got The End of Mr. Y by Scarlett Thomas. And this book follows Ariel Monto. She's finding a very rare book that is called The End of Mr. Y. And she is getting herself involved into a mystery of time travel, everything. And this, I think, has some speculative items and sci-fi elements too. So when I read the back of this book, it sounded very much like this Shadow of the Wind, which I recently read and I enjoyed. I love secret societies, finding new books in an old bookstore. And this is going to be a very good time, I guess, and I can't wait to read this. The next book, I bought it purely because of its aesthetics and the title. I have no idea what this book is about, and the book is The Mermaid and Mrs Hanok by Imogen Hermes Govar. Like I said, this is such a vintage-ish book. I could not pass this on without buying. And I think it's going to be about mermaids and ships and voyages and all those things. I read Frenchman's Greek and I have been craving for pirate and mermaids and summer that is salty air and everything. So I want to read this ASAP. The next set of three books were kindly sent to me by the author himself. He watched my videos and he liked it. He reached out to me and he wanted me to have his work, and I'm eternally grateful for him. And he's such a nice person, and he has sent me all his work. And these are the three books. The three books that he sent me are one short thriller book, and the other two are poetry ones. The poetry books are Smorgasbord of Musing and Charcuterie of Thoughts. And also, he sent me a very short thriller book that is Comeuppance, and it is all written by Ratnakumar Raghunath. And if you are interested in something like that, go check him out. I think these are all going to be wonderful. I haven't read them yet, but I really want to. So that is pretty much it, guys. I think it's going to be a very lengthy video with all these books. I hope you had fun watching it because I had fun making it. And as always, please comment on my videos. And I want to know if you have read anything from this pile. Am I going to like anything? And let me know what are the books that you recently hauled, and I would love to know all of those. And I will see you again in a very next video with the bookish content. Until then, this is Sushmita signing off. Keep reading.